The crystalline pod descended from the morning sky like a falling star, trailing ribbons of prismatic light that painted New York's skyline in impossible colors. Times Square's massive screens flickered and went dark as the object gracefully settled onto the pedestrian plaza, its surface rippling like liquid diamonds. Sarah Chen was giving a lecture on quantum entanglement at Columbia University when her phone, along with every other electronic device in the city, displayed the same message. The centennial approaches. Earth must choose. As the former Olympic decathlete turned physicist made her way downtown, the streets were filled with people drawn to the mysterious object. Police had established a perimeter, but their sensors detected no radiation or other harmful emissions. The pod simply sat there, pulsing with a gentle inner light that seemed to follow its own rhythm. "Dr. Chen," a voice called out. A man in a crisp suit approached her, showing credentials from the United Nations. "We've been monitoring your work on human performance optimization. We need your expertise." Before Sarah could respond, the pod's surface rippled again. A beam of light shot upward, expanding into a holographic display that towered above the skyscrapers. The images it showed left the crowd breathless. Beings of every imaginable form competing in events that defied physics. Creatures of pure energy racing through asteroid fields. Crystalline entities solving puzzles that folded space itself. Humanoid figures dancing between stars. The Centennial Galactic Tournament. A melodious voice echoed in everyone's minds, celebrates the diversity of life and achievement across 10,000 galaxies. Every 100 cycles, species young and old gather to share their gifts, push their limits, and forge bonds that transcend their differences. Sarah watched, transfixed, as the hologram showed more scenes, a massive arena that seemed to be built from living starlight, crowds of impossible beings cheering from floating platforms, and challenges that combined physical prowess with intellectual brilliance. For the first time, Earth has reached the threshold of awareness and achievement to receive an invitation. You may send your finest team to compete. Choose wisely. The tournament begins in one lunar cycle. The UN representative turned to Sarah. "Dr. Chen, your unique combination of athletic achievement and scientific understanding makes you the perfect candidate to lead Earth's team. Will you accept?" Sarah studied the holographic displays, her mind racing with calculations and possibilities. She saw opportunities hidden in what looked like impossible challenges. Her years of Olympic training had taught her about physical limits, while her physics research showed her how those limits could be pushed. "These beings have technology we can barely comprehend," she said, "but that might be our advantage. They'll expect us to try to match their advancement. Instead, we'll show them something they've never seen. Pure human ingenuity." "You'll accept then?" the representative asked. Sarah nodded, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "On one condition. I choose my team. Not politicians or officials. I need people who can think differently, who can see possibilities where others see limitations." The hologram shifted one final time, showing a map of stars with a pulsing path marked through them. "Follow the stellar road," the voice said. "Bring your champions. Show us your worth." As the pod's light began to fade, Sarah was already mentally assembling her list of potential teammates. She would need people with extraordinary skills, but more importantly, she needed those who possessed that uniquely human trait, the ability to face the impossible and find a way forward. One lunar cycle to prepare, she mused aloud. Time to show the galaxy what humanity can do. The crystalline pod hummed one final time before transforming into a smaller device, a key to the stars that would take Earth's first team to the greatest competition in the known universe. Sarah picked it up, feeling its warm pulse against her palm, and knew that everything was about to change. Sarah Chen stood at the edge of a rooftop in Rio de Janeiro, watching a figure dance across the urban landscape below. Maya Santos moved like water through the cityscape, flowing over obstacles and through spaces that seemed impossibly small. As Sarah observed, Maya executed a perfect leap between buildings, transforming a 30-foot gap into an elegant aerial performance. "She's been doing this since she was 6, Maya's trainer explained. "There's no one better at understanding three-dimensional space in motion." Maya landed gracefully on their rooftop, her dark curls settling around her shoulders. "Dr. Chen," she said, eyes bright with curiosity. "You're a long way from New York. How would you like to dance among the stars?" Sarah asked, activating a holographic projection from the crystalline key. Maya's eyes widened as she saw the stellar arena's floating platforms and shifting gravity wells. 2 days later, Sarah sat across from Viktor Petrov in a quiet Moscow park. The chess grandmaster's fingers moved swiftly across a series of boards, playing against 20 opponents simultaneously. His eyes never settled on any single game, yet he called out moves with perfect precision. "The human brain can process multiple dimensional problems," Victor said, declaring checkmate on 3 boards at once. "We simply need the right framework to understand them." In Kenya Serengeti, Sarah found Aisha Hassan training in the pre-dawn light. Local legends spoke of a runner who could chase down gazelles, who understood the rhythm of the land so well that distance became meaningless. Aisha matched pace with a herd of zebras, her movements so perfectly efficient that she seemed to float across the savannah. "Endurance isn't about strength," Aisha told Sarah as they shared tea afterward. "It's about becoming one with the space between heartbeats." James Mackenzie was harder to track down. The former special operative had retreated to the Canadian wilderness, where he taught survival skills to search and rescue teams. Sarah found him demonstrating how to read weather patterns in the dance of Aurora Borealis. "The universe speaks in patterns," he said, eyes scanning the horizon out of habit. Most people just forgot how to listen. The final member of the team found them. Minji Park walked into the UN's temporary tournament operations center in Singapore, bypassing security systems that were supposed to be unbreakable. The 16-year-old carried only a tablet, but her mind processed data faster than most supercomputers. The alien transmission contained 147 layers of embedded code, Minji announced to the startled officials. "I've decoded 43 so far. When do we leave?" Sarah gathered her chosen champions at the base of Mount Fuji, where the crystalline key had indicated their transport would arrive. They were an unlikely group: the physicist-athlete, the parkour artist, the chess master, the ultra-runner, the tactical expert, and the teenage digital savant. "The galaxy expects us to fail," Sarah told them as they waited. "They see us as primitive, limited by our biology and lack of advanced technology. But what they don't understand is that humans have something unique. We adapt, we innovate, we see possibilities where others see walls." The night sky erupted with light as their transport descended. A ship that seemed to be crafted from frozen starlight. A walkway of pure energy extended down to them, humming with potential. Maya grinned at the impossible physics before her. Victor's eyes darted across the ship's geometric patterns. Aisha was already shifting her weight, adapting to the new energy field. James cataloged potential entry and exit points, while Minji's fingers flew across her tablet, decoding the ship's emanations. "Ready?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. They had trained their entire lives for challenges exactly like this, even if they hadn't known it. Together, they took their first step toward the stars, carrying humanity's hopes with them. The Centennial Galactic Tournament was about to meet Earth's finest, and nothing in the universe would ever be quite the same. The stellar arena materialized before them like a dream taking physical form. Massive arcs of living light curved through space, connecting floating platforms that shimmered with ever-changing colors. Sarah and her team stood on the observation deck of their transport ship, speechless at the spectacle before them. "The structure appears to be made of crystallized quantum energy," Minji said, her tablet struggling to analyze the readings. "It's simultaneously solid and fluid, like frozen light that can think." Their ship glided into a docking bay alongside vessels of every imaginable design. Some appeared to be carved from single gemstones, others were biological in nature, pulsing with internal energy. A few seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once, their edges blurring into infinity. "Welcome, Earth Team," a melodious voice echoed in their minds as they stepped onto the station. A being of pure radiance approached them, its form suggesting a humanoid shape, while constantly shifting like Aurora Borealis. "I am Celestia, your guide for the preliminary trials." James tensed slightly, his tactical instincts registering dozens of alien species watching them from various levels of the vast arrival chamber. Some observers made no attempt to hide their curiosity, while others tried to blend into the background, studying the newcomers with analytical interest. "Your first challenge begins in one standard cycle," Celestia announced, leading them through corridors that seemed to respond to their presence. "The gravity maze awaits all new participants. Most species train for decades before attempting it." Sarah exchanged glances with her team. They had hours, not decades, but that had never stopped humanity before. The preparation chamber was a perfect sphere of white light. As they waited, holographic displays showed previous attempts at the challenge. Beings with advanced technology failed as often as they succeeded, their reliance on devices proving as much a hindrance as a help. "The maze shifts constantly," Maya observed, her eyes tracking the patterns. "But there's a rhythm to it, like a dance we can't hear yet." Minji nodded, her fingers flying across her tablet. "Each shift follows mathematical principles. Complex, but not random. If we combine Maya's spatial awareness with my pattern recognition, we don't need to dominate the maze," Sarah realized. "We need to flow with it." When their turn came, they entered a vast chamber where gravity seemed to be merely a suggestion. Pathways of light appeared and disappeared, leading in all directions. Observation platforms filled with alien spectators ringed the space, all eager to watch the primitive newcomers fail. Maya took point, her Parker experience translating perfectly to the three-dimensional challenge. She moved like a leaf in the wind, letting the shifting gravity carry her naturally from one platform to the next. The team followed her lead, with Minji calling out pattern predictions and James keeping track of their relative positions. "Energy surge approaching," Victor warned, his chess master's mind calculating possibilities. 30 degrees up, shifting clockwise. They moved as one, using the surge to propel themselves toward the goal. Other teams had fought against such surprises, but the humans turned them into advantages. Where advanced species saw chaos to be controlled, Earth's champions saw opportunities to be seized. Aisha's marathon training proved invaluable as the challenge stretched on, her steady encouragement keeping the team focused as fatigue set in. They weren't the fastest or the most technically impressive, but they maintained a consistent pace that carried them ever forward. When they finally reached the exit portal, the observation platforms had fallen silent. The humans had completed the maze in the third fastest time ever recorded, using nothing but their natural abilities and teamwork. "Impossible," one alien observer muttered. "They're barely out of their gravity well. How did they?" Celestia's form flickered with what might have been approval. "Perhaps," she said, her voice carrying across the chamber, "we all have something to learn from Earth's approach to challenges." Sarah gathered her tired but triumphant team. "One trial down," she said with a smile. "Now they know we're here. Let's show them what else humanity can do." Viktor Petrov stood before a gaming interface unlike anything ever seen on Earth. The circular platform floated in a vast chamber, surrounded by streams of data that flowed like rivers of light through the air. Minji sat cross-legged beside him, her tablet forgotten as she absorbed the pure information streaming directly into her mind. "The Spiral of Infinity," Celestia announced to the assembled crowds, "a strategic challenge that has remained unsolved for over 1,000 years. Each team is allowed one attempt during the tournament. Most choose to pass." Sarah watched from the observation deck as her two strategists prepared themselves. The other Earth team members stood close by, their presence offering silent support. They had all seen Victor and Minji practicing with holographic simulations, but this was different. This was real. The game exists in 7 dimensions, a crystalline being commented nearby, its voice tinged with what might have been pity. Your species can only perceive 3. Perhaps you would prefer a simpler challenge. Maya stepped forward, ready to defend her teammates, but Sarah placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Watch," she said softly. "This is where we show them something new." Victor closed his eyes, his mind recalling countless chess matches, each piece's potential movements creating patterns within patterns. Minji's fingers twitched, unconsciously mapping the data streams, finding connections that even the game's designers had forgotten. "Begin," Celestia commanded. The chamber erupted with light as the game initialized. Most species approached it with advanced quantum computers and artificial intelligence systems. The humans had only their minds, and that made all the difference. "It's music," Minji whispered to Victor. "The dimensions aren't separate. They're harmonies of the same song." Victor nodded, understanding instantly. Where others saw chaos, he recognized the familiar structures of a chess game played across multiple layers of reality. "Like simultaneous matches," he murmured, each one influencing the others. Their hands moved in perfect synchronization, weaving paths through the light streams. Victor provided the strategic framework, his experience with classical chess guiding their overall approach. Minji's digital intuition filled in the gaps, her young mind adapting instantly to new patterns as they emerge. The alien audiences leaned forward as the humans progressed further than any team had in centuries. The crystalline being from earlier vibrated with surprise as Victor and Minji passed the previous record mark. "They're not processing the dimensions separately," one alien observer noted with astonishment. "They're treating them as aspects of a single whole." "Impossible," another responded. "Their brains aren't developed enough for such complexity." But human brains had one advantage. They weren't constrained by preconceptions of what was possible. Where advanced species tried to solve each dimensional layer independently, Victor and Minji saw the game as a unified dance of light and logic. Hours passed. The chamber grew more crowded as word spread about the ongoing attempt. Even Celestia's ever-shifting form seemed more focused, her light dimming to watch more closely. Then Minji smiled. "Check," she said quietly. Victor nodded. "Mate in 3 moves." Their hands moved one final time, weaving light into a pattern that had eluded the greatest minds in the galaxy for a millennium. The chamber erupted in a cascade of colors as the game recognized their victory, the spiral of infinity finally uncoiling into a perfect line of light. Celestia's form pulsed with brilliant colors. "The humans have achieved the impossible," she announced, her voice carrying a note of wonder. "The spiral is solved." Sarah gathered her team close as celebrations erupted around them. "Well done," she said, but Victor and Minji were already deep in discussion about the game's elegant structure, their minds racing with new possibilities. In the observation galleries, the alien species whispered among themselves. These humans were proving to be far more than anyone had expected. And this was only the beginning. The team synchronization chamber resembled the interior of a giant opal, its walls shifting with iridescent patterns that responded to movement. James Mackenzie stood motionless in a corner, his trained eyes tracking subtle disturbances in the light flow that others might have missed. "Someone's watching us," he whispered to Sarah as the rest of the team prepared for their next trial. "Not the usual observers, something different." Sarah nodded imperceptibly, having noticed the unusual behavior of the light patterns herself. The physics didn't quite match her calculations. "Keep practicing," she said loudly. "I need to check our equipment." As she moved toward their gear, she caught glimpses of something extraordinary in the chamber's reflective surfaces. Beings made of pure light, almost invisible against the opal walls, were studying their every move. The legendary luminary, masters of photonic technology, had taken an interest in the human team. Maya called out from the center of the chamber, ready for another run. Her voice carried a hint of understanding. A Parker expert had also sensed they weren't alone, her spatial awareness detecting the subtle shifts in the room's dimensions. The team assembled in their starting positions. This challenge required them to move in perfect harmony through a series of increasingly complex patterns. Most species relied on neural links or technological synchronization. The humans had something different. Trust built through hours of practice and an innate understanding of each other's movements. "Begin sequence alpha," Sarah announced, catching James's eye. He gave a slight nod, confirming their hidden audience remained in place. The team flowed through their routine, each member's movements complementing the others. Maya and Aisha led the physical sequences, their natural grace setting the tempo. Victor and Minji coordinated the pattern recognition, while James maintained their spatial awareness. Sarah brought it all together, her physicist's mind calculating each adjustment. As they moved, the light beings drew closer, their curiosity evident in the way they pulsed with different colors. The humans weren't just completing the challenge. They were adapting it, turning the synchronization into something new. "Now," Sarah called out, and the team shifted into a formation they had created themselves. It wasn't part of any standard routine, but it perfectly matched the harmonic frequencies of the chamber. The walls resonated with their movements, creating a display of light and motion that told a story of humanity's journey to the stars. The luminary could no longer maintain their invisibility. Their light forms shimmered into full view, dancing alongside the humans in a spontaneous celebration of movement and energy. The chamber became a symphony of light and motion as two species, separated by vast gulfs of technology, found a common language in dance. When the sequence ended, the luminary's leader stepped forward, its form consolidating into a more distinct shape. "We have watched many species attempt this challenge," it said, its voice a melody of light frequencies. "All try to master the patterns, only you have sought to understand them, to make them your own." Sarah bowed slightly. "On Earth, we have a saying. Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass, but learning to dance in the rain." The luminary leader's form sparkled with what might have been laughter. "Your species is young, but you see things in ways we have forgotten were possible. We will watch your progress with great interest." As the light beings faded from view, Sarah gathered her team close. "They weren't just observing us," she said quietly. "They were testing us, and I think we just passed in a way they never expected." James nodded. "By being ourselves." "Exactly," Sarah replied, watching the last traces of the luminary disappear into the chamber walls. In trying to understand us, they revealed something about themselves. In this tournament, every challenge is more than it appears. The team had earned more than points today. They had gained the attention of one of the galaxy's most enigmatic species, not through advanced technology or unprecedented skill, but through their uniquely human approach to challenges. As they prepared for their next trial, they knew the real competition was only beginning. Aisha Hassan stood at the starting line of the most extraordinary marathon course ever created. Before her stretched a path of artificial stars, each one a miniature sun pulsing with different colors and intensities. The course wound through space like a ribbon of light, challenging competitors to navigate stellar flares and gravitational eddies. "Most species use protective suits," Celestia explained, gesturing to the other competitors in their advanced gear. "The stellar energies can be overwhelming." "We'll run as we are," Aisha replied, adjusting her simple Earth-made running shoes. The rest of the team nodded in agreement, wearing only lightweight athletic gear designed for breathability and movement. Sarah had studied the stellar patterns for hours. "The flares follow predictable cycles," she told the team. "Like weather patterns on Earth, just faster and more intense. Watch for the warning signs we practiced." Other competitors stared at the humans in disbelief. The mechanoids of Ta City flexed their energy-absorbing exoskeletons. The crystalline prism dancers adjusted their protective fields. Even the energy-based wave weavers had adopted defensive formations. "They're going to burn up in the first section," one alien observer commented. "Their bodies can't possibly handle the raw stellar energy." The starting signal pulsed across space. Aisha took the lead, her feet finding purchase on the solid light pathway, as if she were running her familiar trails in Kenya. The team followed, matching her pace, their movements synchronized through countless hours of practice. The first stellar flare erupted beside them. While other competitors powered up shields or dove for cover, the humans simply adjusted their course, reading the signs in the star's corona just as their ancestors had read weather patterns in the clouds. Temperature spike in 3 seconds, Minji called out, her mind processing the stellar data streams. 40 degrees to the left. The team shifted as one, utilizing a technique they had developed during training. Instead of fighting the energy wave, they rode it like surfers on Earth's oceans, letting it carry them forward while expending minimal energy. Hours passed. Many competitors dropped out, their technological protections failing against the relentless stellar bombardment. But the humans kept running, their bodies adapting to the rhythm of the stars. They had discovered something remarkable. In small doses, the stellar energy actually helped, warming their muscles and energizing their movements. "It's like running at sunrise," Aisha explained to Victor as they navigated a particularly challenging section. "You don't fight the sun. You welcome it, let it become part of your rhythm." Maya's parkour skills proved invaluable as the path twisted through three-dimensional space. James's tactical awareness helped them anticipate dangerous convergences of stellar flows. Each team member contributed their specialty, but they all followed Aisha's steady pace. Near the finish line, only 3 teams remained in contention. The mechanoid's exoskeleton sparked with overload, while the wave weaver's energy patterns showed signs of instability. But the humans ran on, their simple approach proving more durable than any advanced technology. With a final burst of speed, Aisha led the team across the finish line. They finished first, setting a new course record. Their bodies glistened with sweat, but their eyes shined with the light of achievement. "Extraordinary," Celestia commented as she awarded them their victory tokens. "You didn't try to overcome the stellar energies, you harmonized with them." Sarah smiled, watching her team celebrate. Sometimes the simplest solution is the most elegant. Humans have been running under our own star for hundreds of thousands of years. We just needed to trust what we already knew. The victory carried deeper implications. They had shown the galaxy that advanced technology wasn't always the answer. Sometimes, the knowledge written into flesh and bone by millions of years of evolution could accomplish what no artificial system could match. As news of their achievements spread through the stellar arena, the whispers changed from dismissal to respect. The humans weren't just surviving the tournament. They were redefining it, one challenge at a time. The meditation chamber aboard the human quarters pulsed with soft light as Sarah Chen reviewed their tournament standings. Holographic displays showed their team ranked 3rd overall, an achievement unprecedented for a first-time participant. But something about their recent success made her uneasy. Minji burst into the chamber, her tablet displaying streams of intercepted data. "The Stellar Trinity is meeting," she announced, her voice tense. "They're discussing us." The Trinity consisted of the tournament's most dominant species, the quantum architects, masters of reality manipulation, the Nova Lords, beings of pure stellar energy, and the Crystal Consciousness, a collective mind of crystalline entities. Together, they had won every tournament for the past 1,000 years. James appeared silently at Sarah's shoulder, studying the data. "They're not just discussing us," he said grimly. "They're planning to challenge our right to continue competing." A gentle chime announced an unexpected visitor. The door dissolved into light, revealing a prism dancer, its crystalline form refracting the chamber's illumination into rainbow patterns. "I am Spectrum," it announced, "and you need to know what's coming." Sarah gestured for the visitor to enter as the team gathered around. Spectrum's crystal surfaces rippled with emotion. "The Trinity fears you," it explained, "not for what you are, but for what you represent. You solve problems in ways they thought impossible. You succeed without relying on advanced technology. You make them question their assumptions." "They can't simply disqualify us," Victor noted, his strategic mind already analyzing possibilities. We've broken no rules. No, Spectrum agreed. But they can challenge you to a multi-dimensional competition of their choosing. By tournament law, you must either accept or withdraw. Maya leaned forward, her expression determined. Then we accept. It's not that simple, Spectrum cautioned. The Trinity will combine their specialties: reality manipulation, stellar energy, and crystalline resonance all at once. No single species can handle such a challenge. Good thing we're not alone, Aisha said quietly, nodding toward the door where more visitors had arrived. A wave weaver floated in ethereal beauty, accompanied by a young quantum mechanic whose mechanical body hummed with potential. I am Flo, the wave weaver announced, its voice like wind through crystal. We represent those who believe the tournament should celebrate innovation, not merely power. The quantum mechanic stepped forward. Call me Spark. We've watched how you humans adapt and grow. We want to help. Sarah studied their unexpected allies. The rules allow for joint training sessions, don't they? They do, Spectrum confirmed, its crystal face brightening. The Trinity has forgotten that victory means nothing if we don't grow from the competition. Your species reminds us of when we were young, when we solved problems with creativity instead of raw power. Over the next hours, more visitors arrived. Species that had never worked together began sharing knowledge. The prism dancers taught the humans how to read crystal resonances. The wave weavers demonstrated energy flow techniques. The quantum mechanics shared secrets of dimensional thinking. In return, the humans showed them something equally valuable: how to combine different approaches in unexpected ways. Maya's parkour techniques inspired new ways of moving through quantum space. Victor's chess strategies provided frameworks for multidimensional planning. Minji's digital intuition helped bridge technological gaps. The Trinity wanted to isolate us, Sarah realized as she watched the impromptu training session. Instead, they've helped us form something new. A constellation. Flo agreed, its energy patterns forming intricate designs. Each star unique, but together forming something greater than its parts. As the training continued, news spread through the stellar arena. Other species began choosing sides. The tournament was becoming more than a competition. It was becoming a catalyst for change. Sarah looked at her team, now surrounded by allies from across the galaxy. They had come to prove humanity's worth, but they had achieved something far more important. They had shown that true strength comes not from power or technology, but from the willingness to learn, adapt, and grow together. The Trinity's challenge was coming, but they would face it not as a single species, but as a constellation of allies, each contributing their unique light to the greater whole. The final challenge transformed the entire stellar arena into a living constellation. Thousands of artificial stars pulsed in complex patterns, their light forming intricate pathways through space. The Trinity had designed a gauntlet that combined every previous challenge into one overwhelming test. Each star represents a different trial, Celestia announced to the assembled crowds. Quantum puzzles, stellar navigation, crystal harmonics, and dimensional riddles. Teams must complete each challenge in sequence while maintaining perfect synchronization. Sarah stood with her team at the starting point, their new allies watching from observation platforms that spiraled through space. The Trinity took their position at the opposite end of the arena, their combined power making the very fabric of space ripple. Remember your training, Sarah told her team. But more importantly, remember who we are. We're not here to overpower them. We're here to show them a new way. The signal came. The Trinity launched into action, their advanced abilities immediately apparent. The quantum architects bent space itself, creating shortcuts through the course. The Nova Lords channeled stellar energies with devastating precision. The crystal consciousness reformed reality through pure crystalline will. The human team moved differently. Maya led them through the physical challenges, her parkour skills enhanced by Flo's energy movement techniques. Victor and Minji tackled the quantum puzzles, applying chess strategies to dimensional problems in ways the Trinity had never considered. They're not following the expected sequence, Spectrum observed from the sidelines. They're rewriting the challenge as they go. James spotted patterns within patterns, using knowledge shared by their allies to guide the team safely through stellar flares. Aisha set their pace, maintaining the steady rhythm that had served them so well in previous trials. The Trinity's power was overwhelming, but it wasn't perfect. Their reliance on pure force meant they missed subtle solutions, overlooked elegant alternatives. The humans, working with their allies' teachings, found paths between the stars that the Trinity never saw. Section 7 completed, Celestia announced. Both teams approaching the final challenge. The last trial required all participants to harmonize with the arena itself. The Trinity attempted to force their way through, their combined powers creating spectacular but ultimately inefficient displays of energy. Sarah gathered her team in a circular formation. Together, she said softly, each member contributed their specialty. Maya's grace, Victor's strategy, Minji's insight, James's awareness, and Aisha's endurance. Sarah herself provided the scientific understanding that bound it all together. They began to move as one, incorporating everything they had learned. Crystal resonance techniques from the prism dancers helped them communicate without words. Waveweaver energy flows made their movements effortless. Quantum mechanical principles let them exist in perfect synchronization across multiple dimensions. The arena responded. Stars pulsed in harmony with their movements. Energy flowed naturally instead of being forced. The very space around them seemed to sing with the rightness of their approach. They crossed the finish line moments before the Trinity, their victory marked not by spectacular displays of power, but by the perfect harmony they had achieved with the arena itself. Silence fell across the observation platforms. Then, remarkably, the Trinity approached the human team. The quantum architects spoke first. We sought to prove our superiority. Instead, you have shown us that we had stopped growing, stopped learning. Perhaps, Sarah replied, that's what this tournament should truly celebrate. Not the demonstration of power, but the joy of discovering new possibilities together. The crystal consciousness resonated in agreement. You have changed the meaning of victory itself. Celestia's form blazed with approval as she presented the tournament's grand prize, a crystal that contained the combined knowledge of 1,000 species. But the humans had won something far more valuable. They had shown the galaxy that progress comes not from dominating nature or reality, but from learning to dance with it. As celebrations erupted throughout the stellar arena, Sarah looked at her team, at their allies, and at their former opponents. In seeking to prove humanity's worth, they had helped forge a new constellation of cooperation that would shine far beyond this moment, lighting the way toward a future filled with endless possibilities.